have to pay for the admission.
$15. just a conversation. It's just conversation, yeah. Pat, good to see you, Paul.
Testing 1 2.
Hello, can you hear me?
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2 3 4. Coming at you live from Seminole State College. They got some new players.
Hello, hello, hello.
Testing 1 2. Testing. Testing.
Why won't that open?
Testing. 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 1 2. Testing. So, if I don't, I just turn on off, or would I mess up?
Turn off. That one doesn't have. I don't.
You're semi. You can turn that off if you don't want to.
We just turn it off like when we go to timeouts instead of us going into like any kind of technical thing. We're like, hey, we'll be back here in a while, and we just turn it off. Not yet, not yet. Those are Amazon is late on that delivery. What's going on there? They're usually good about that. They said between 11 a.m. and 1 today. Is Lucas coming today? He's my roster guy. You got some rosters? Yeah. I hope. Well, that's what we'll do is if you give us some insight, like this, if we try to make this like ESPN NBA, it'll be a mess. So, but if Paul, if we just make this like you and I just having a conversation, going back and forth, what are your thoughts? Then people are going to understand. Like they've been watching most of this the whole time. So what I've been doing, like Lucas or anybody comes on in this, just like saying, hey, if you try to sit here and break down everything, the audience is like we can already see all that. Thank you, sir. Awesome. Thank you, sir. So, what's the story? That sounds a lot like my story. We all learn. We all learn stuff so late. Like, man, if I could have just done that. How y'all doing? Sorry. How y'all doing? So we just wait till after we're done. Your son's name again?
Noah.
No, I got it. Very talented. Ball handler, scorer, good.
Yeah, what? His greatest possession he has. He's 8.9
All right, folks, welcome. FBA action today. We're looking at a great game here today with the Florida Flight and the Volusia Serpents. This is a game in which we're nearing the end of the season, so we're excited about what's going on. I'm joined today with Coach Paul. Coach Paul, could you introduce yourself and let the fans know everything about yourself?
Well, it's hard to explain everything about myself in the few seconds I have, but I enjoy basketball, and we're gonna have a good game today, and we'll see what we can chat about.
Love it. If you were able to join us early, we enjoyed Mark King giving us the national anthem singing. He's a very talented coach. You've been on his side for a while.
Yeah.
He never ceases to amaze me.
Right.
From the fedora, the singing of the anthem, his
Yes.
coaching abilities.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Man, there's so much to add, but we just don't have the time. We don't have the words. The style. So the Serpents, they seem like a smaller team today, and I see the Flight. I have a Sam Therio is in the starting lineup. He's not a usual starter, but they're a much bigger team. Looks like they're playing zone. Good pass inside.
Loving this energy with the Serps. It's 2-3 zone they're coming out in. Active hands, great rotations. Let's see if the Flight can fix up and score on this.
Oh, good play. Can't finish. When you're taller and can jump higher, it makes a lot easier task to score the basketball.
Little aerial attack.
That's what you tell young kids, not to jump and pass, right?
Yeah.
Decide what you're going to do later.
Well, sometimes I tell myself, don't eat McDonald's, but then I am in the drive-thru eating it. Serps having a little better luck with that 2-3 that last time.
Oh, good hands. 3-on-1 fast break.
What do you think of that last one there, Coach Paul? Lindsay is one of our veteran point guards, and at that one, he leads a secondary break, and he finds himself in the post, picking up the ball, and looking to make a move on two defenders.
Right. It's not advisory unless you're Kyrie Irving. You don't want to have the little guys getting too deep. The Flight are really coming out here. A 7-0 run, fast break, open three, good ball movement on the easy inbound pass. Much easier offense.
Also notice the silence of Mark King. He's content.
Right. Yeah, it's when they're winning, the referees are good.
Foul there on Tillman. I like the pressure, but right now they're starting off so well, but I guess they do have to make a little presence known on the defensive end. I've got a feeling if the Serps don't get, they did get a score by our reigning MVP there, Suarez, but I thought if they didn't, maybe they would be calling an early timeout.
It's a tough shot, that long two, just a few more inches is a three. Oh, good pass inside. And that's the way to beat the zone, is you have to have quick passing, good ball movement. You can't penetrate, try and dribble through.
Sure. Over the broadcast of this season, we know that, there's a lot of trends that occur. And for a player like Gullett, the last two times he's gotten the ball, he's sounded a little physical with the defense, so he must be used to it. But again, it's going to be one of those days for him.
Second three-pointer for the Flight.
Folks, there's our first timeout. We're going to join you here in a second, so keep enjoying the game. That's a good thing to come back on. So, folks, we're just coming back here a little early than expected, but I was talking to Coach Paul here as we're looking over at the Florida flight. We're noticing that the King, Mr. Mark King, is coach, a little quieter. What's going on there, Coach Paul?
Well, you know, he's really trying to turn over a new leaf and exercise better judgment, control his blood pressure. You know, it's harder as you get older with all the stress of basketball.
Totally understand. As we're all passionate about the game, it does cause some opportunity to exercise and become more self-aware.
There's the old Bobby Knight, Gene Cady version versus the new Brad Stevens school. Nice take by Antonio Jackson. Good strong finish at the rim. Oh my goodness, great pass.
Nice little hesitation by Gullett. The defenders didn't know, can we get away with another little physical hit? And he just hesitated and went to the other side of the rim.
Great footwork and patience. A lot of long shots by the Serpents.
Tillman coming down with the ball. Coach Paul, you know more insight than myself, but whenever I watch Tillman, I always recognize he's got great court vision. Now, maybe holds the ball one or two dribbles a little too long, but usually finds somebody once the defense is committed to him.
He's a very talented offensive player, and I think he's played two guard, scoring guard most of his life, and he's trying to learn the point guard position, so there's a little bit of a transition. He's definitely capable.
Yeah, I've really noticed it this season that he has a keen awareness of recognizing when the defense gets him, and he just finds that extra player on his team. I'm sure his teammates just really appreciate it about him.
A little slow on the closeout, but they're not worried about the three-pointers.
Serps, two possessions back-to-back, going for long threes and coming up unsuccessful.
Oh, Euro step for Tyler Rodri. He's got 8 points already, 2 threes and that layup.
Like to see that early start. Serps are still trying to figure out, how to get their machine working. They had a little timeout there. Well, fortunately, we were over here on the quiet side with Mark King, but we didn't get to hear any of what was going on over on the Volusia Serpents side. But it looks like it still hasn't gone into effect.
You know, it looks like to me, the Flight are bigger and longer at every position. Even though they're playing man, they're not able to beat their man or run anything to get a quality shot. Whereas, the Flight are getting much better. Open three, layups, inside shots.
That's a great point. I'm a big fan of coaches who allow players to make decisions confidently, even if the ball's going in or not. But right now, we're not even getting shots off, to your point. So it's a struggle to figure out how do we get that. And to your point, you get bigger, you can't get taller. You've got to realize that you're going to have to do something a little more special and change it with a variable. Great passing going on again with the Flight.
Just too big, too strong. He lets him know he's too small.
I'll tell you this too about the Serpents, though. You're seeing that they're not getting too frustrated or emotional with what's going on. There's our MVP coming down hitting a three, but they're still just going back and forth. We're gonna find our swing, so hopefully that does occur here.
I think Suarez has 7 of their 9 points so far. Yeah. Another inside shot and one.
That's some of the fun we have with minor league basketball. You and I are sitting here. We don't have any stat sheets in front of us. So some of the trends that we do, we're kind of guesstimating a little bit, kind of using our memory. But I agree that there is a lot going on there with Suarez and scoring.
I can keep stats for the first quarter in my head. After that, I don't know.
It's kind of like my kids when Christmas rolls around and they go, "Hey, I didn't ask for this." I said, "I thought I remember you saying that."
A little confusion here. It was an and one. Were they saying the basket didn't count? Second free throw is good by Grant Gullett. You know, Grant Gullett, he's a very skilled perimeter offensive player, dribble, hand shooting, but he plays very physical also because of his athleticism and strength, and so he's playing power forward down on the block for his team because that's a bigger need.
What would you say, for guys like, Tillman, like, what is his next level? Like, what are things that you would say, as you've noticed and recognized, that he could work on to get to his next level? Because I know, again, you're a trainer, he's a trainer, and sometimes, being self-aware is very difficult because you're not sitting there going, okay, I could have done this better. So what do you see?
Wow, that's a big question. I haven't been I've seen like the NBA and I've seen this, and then there's these leagues in between that I don't have experience in. So I'm not sure like what's the feedback. I see guys that should be in the NBA, and I can't understand what's the feedback. Why is Mac McClung not in the NBA, for example? What's the feedback he's getting? I actually asked his dad. He's like, we're not getting any feedback. We don't know. And so it's good to like coaches often, in my experience, or scouts will say they want something. But then that's not what the reality is. They say they want the team guy. They want the guy to play defense and talk and have good body language and attitude. But then they go recruit the guys that are 6'8" with a 50-inch vertical and, can shoot threes and dribble and do all the flashy stuff.
Not to interrupt you there, we're going to get on that point, but there's Lindsay again. I'm not a big fan of point guards picking up their dribble, especially in the lane on early offense. Got himself into trouble there, but he also got his way out of there by getting a foul on that.
He's a very talented player. I think he's had a lot of success in like street ball, and this is more of a serious professionals where you gotta learn the system, play to your strengths and weaknesses, and you can't play AAU ball in college. You can't play street ball in pro. You got to learn what's the best ways to help your team.
I agree, and I think that happens at all levels. Like, we're coming right out of this last NBA draft, and as much as these kids, their dreams are coming true, there are going to be a few of them that are going to realize just what you're talking about, that, do you have not just the polished game, but do you have the ability to be self-aware and take in some of the educated space and saying, well, we need to work on this, this, and this, because a lot of guys come in and they think a 40-inch vertical is going to be the thing that's going to keep them on the floor.
A very nice delayed break. Got an open three for the Serpents there by bringing the ball in and then kicking out to the open shooter in transition.
Mark King making a few substitutions here, getting his guys in. What are your thoughts on the crew that's in now?
Yeah, they got bigger. They just put in Nicholas Choi and Sean Kapoor, and now they're even a larger, better rebounding team.
What are your thoughts now? We're looking at again as the Serpents coming in. They're a little bit underhanded in size today, but Mark King making this adjustment to go big, getting his starting five a breather. But Choi and Kapoor, these guys are capable. The FBA does have teams with big guys that are able to perform at a very high level.
It wasn't a good shot there by Ronald Burr, but you saw the size there. Sean Kapoor, he's 6'6", but he's got a 7-foot wingspan. Just reach over without jumping and gets the rebound. Suarez again for three. He's their main source of offense for
doing
sure.
All the heavy lifting today, huh?
Keeping them in the game.
Yeah, at least in this first quarter. So if looks, there's a little highlight. Jackson's going to put that down.
Oh my goodness!
Uncharacteristic miss on an open dunk from Mr. Jackson.
And there you see Choi on the perimeter. That's not his strength, handling the ball, and that's what happens. You're going to get picked. Timeout for the Flight.
We'll be right back with some more FBA action. Stay tuned as this game is starting to heat up. All right, we're back. We're coming out of that last timeout. Right now, it's the Florida Flight up by 2, 19-17 against the Volusia Serpents. Going into that timeout, started looking at it's a family affair here. You know, the FBA is also about youth clubs, and so Coach Paul, the gentleman who's next to me, his son Noah is on the Florida Flight youth team. He's also our cameraman today. But what do you see as far as the FBA and its ability to help youth in a club model?
Well, you hear a lot of talk about the problems with AAU. Kobe Bryant was mentioning that. Gino Ariema recently, they practice once or twice a week, and they play 3 to 4 games on the weekend, not really evaluating. Whenever there's a tryout, it's the kids just come in and they got to get noticed, so they got to just be flashy and get the ball and try and scores, and it's just not good basketball. And you see the best players in the NBA right now, Jokic, Luka Doncic, they're playing pro when they're 14 years old. And they're learning basketball systems. They're practicing every day and playing once a week, and teaching the kids how to be professional at a younger age, so they're ready. I think what Luka did at 18 was pretty amazing. Wow.
Tough play there. Coach, I totally agree with you. I was fortunate enough to play overseas for about 9 years, and in the club model, you're looking at actually what you're sharing is modeling. It's like being in a home. If the parents are modeling certain behaviors, the kids will. So when you have the FBA structure that's looking to replicate that European club model in sports, younger athletes are watching the older athletes perform at a very high level, but they're watching all these things like the intangibles, respect, commitment, integrity, all these wonderful things that they can actually talk about within their club and be proud of it. So
right.
It's very cool to see this. And it's not to tarnish AAU, but to say it's something different. And I think it also has a lot to do with why we're seeing so many European players, like you're saying, coming through these drafts.
Right. And when the younger players are practicing with the older players, they're building their poise. So my son, he's 14. He practices with the adults, and they're above college level players, right, for the most part. So they're older, they're more mature. And when they pressure him, he can go play high school, and it's easier somehow.
I like that. I'm sure it's also a lot of mentoring, too. They're giving them insights like, on that last possession, this was happening here. Did you identify this? And for someone like Noah, that is such a huge benefit to have that, and it's a blessing.
Oh, my goodness,
Jackson
2 missed dunks. Something wrong with that rim, I guess.
Well, there are protein bars in the snack machine. It's not all Snickers and Milky Ways in there. I noticed that on the way in. So I grabbed a Cliff Bar. I'm feeling like I could get that dunk right now.
Yeah. He might need a Gatorade or something. I don't know.
That last play for the Flight, I noticed Rodriguez is taking the ball down. Capable ball handler, but going against one of the faster lateral players in Lindsay. I love getting mismatches, but I love getting them where you don't have to dribble as much. Let guards play guards, let 2 guards.
Yeah.
But, he's a great shooter, and I think that they're going to get the ball in the post or nearer to the hoop. It's probably a better situation with a smaller guard. Once you're trying to beat somebody off the dribble, and no insult to him, but, I think maybe Lindsay might be a little bit faster as far as the defensive end.
It seems that the pace has changed. The Flight have gotten away from what they were successful at in the beginning of the game, and they're getting into a turnover, quick shot, fast break game, which favors the Serpents' smaller, faster team.
I hear you. It's kind of like when you're at school and you get a new pair of shoes. You feel like, hey, I'm a little cooler than I was yesterday. So maybe there's a little bit of a confidence boost with the score. But, again, it's kind of ironic because here we are towards the end of the season, and you would think a team would understand the FBA is built on shot after shot after shot. No lead is safe until the end of the game. And so I'm surprised to see that. You might see a reaction here from Mark King.
It's a game of runs. 20-point leads can disappear in minutes.
I know if you were over there on the sideline today, you'd be over there getting an earful to some of the guys.
Oh, nice post play.
I like that. being a big, I like to see the ball getting in there to Kapoor. He's, like I said, he's well capable. He keeps it nice and high, just turns around. Taco Fall at 7'6" when I used to train him. Same thing. One of his mentors, Mamadou Enjai, used to come in and say, Pat, I want you to just keep it real simple with him. And they did, and he's doing really well, of course, in China now.
You know, as a point guard, if you're playing with a good big man, it's the easiest source of assists. You can just throw down there and easy too. Really, the Flight are having trouble handling the ball. We're getting some new guards in here coming at the scorers table.
One of the things I'm recognizing, too, about the Flight, and maybe this is just happening today. This is not a covering the whole time, but when there's little mistakes that are occurring here towards the close of this quarter, guys are not getting back. You know, if you make it, we have to understand as athletes, right, that you're going to have to handle adversity. It's not just winning or losing, but you're going to shoot an air ball. You're going to get a no call. But you have to realize is the next decision is the one that makes the difference. And just right then, I saw the ball getting stripped, and two of the guys not getting back on defense. And that's something that the bench will recognize as well. It doesn't do anything for the morale.
You know, you saw Jackson miss 2 dunks. You can't assume they're just going to make it. That could be a rebound and another possession.
Not to interrupt you, but I didn't see him stop and ask the manager of the facility, are these at regulation height? Well, folks, we'll be right back. We're going through another timeout here. FBA action coming at you. All right, we're coming back. And right away I noticed that Mr. Moran, an Irish name coming in there, being the first Irish-born NBA player, I noticed little things like that. So one of my Irish kin is out there.
There you go. Very good.
And there he is with the ball, folks. Let's see what he's going to do.
You know,
Irish power.
He's a young player, came out of high school, didn't play college. So he's very young, only 19 or 20 years old. He's very dynamic, but still learning to play at this higher level. He's a good ball handler, shooter, very athletic. He can dunk it at only 5'8".
Wow.
Another bad pass, 2 straight turnovers. And here comes a fast break, 3-on-2. And you got to go meet the ball. You got to stop the ball.
You know, it's funny. I just noticed that Kevin Beans from the Serps just got in the game. I think I saw him getting here a little bit late. And he's finding his way in. He's someone that can make a big difference if he gets hot. Here he goes. He was just in the parking lot. Now he's shooting from the parking lot. I like this. Lindsay now is taking their time. Well fought first quarter, both teams. You saw a huge start, great activity start from the Flight. Serps responded pretty well. What are your thoughts on that first quarter?
Yeah, it corresponded with some substitutions. I think the Flight made some substitutions, and their game kind of fell apart, and the Serpents got to get into their game, which is fast breaking and hitting open threes.
Yeah, if Mark King could just figure out that cheat code like in video games to get your guy to be like infinitely strong and cardio never ending.
Unlimited stamina.
Yeah.
Arcade mode.
All right, folks. We'll be right back from the FBA here at beautiful Seminole State. We've got the Florida Flight against the Volusia Serpents.
I'll go. Go ahead.
I was just standing there. So, folks, we're back. 28-21, if you're just tuning in, with the Serpents over the flight. Coach Paul, you had mentioned something there about rotation and substitutions that might have had a big impact there for that first quarter with the flight.
You know, it's hard with injuries, missing players. You got to find the right rotation. Sometimes you can make one rotation. One guy you can hide, but when it's 2 or 3 guys, it really can be detrimental.
Also, I recognize, too, that it's in my career, I was fortunate enough to, in Europe, you play 2 games a week. In the NBA, you're playing 3 or 4 games a week. With the FBA, there's a lot of you're not playing for 2 weeks at a time. So the confidence level or the ability to get back right into that good vibe, that good mojo could be a little bit of a challenge too. It could take a couple quarters.
Yeah, definitely. That's even high school, college, everything is like very regimented in the schedule, and this is which the benefit is that they allows the players to really heal from injuries and look over film and get in their practice. But practice just isn't the same as games.
Sure. I like that too, though, with the ability, if you do have a nagging injury, if you have the opportunity then also to educate to practice, which gives a lot of the coaches the ability then to also exercise. Okay, what are our points that we're working on in between these 2 games or this point in the season, which I think is a huge advantage with the FBA and the coaches.
The Serpents have really become potent on offense.
You had mentioned, in the beginning, not only with the substitutions, but what do you think the Florida Flight have to return to get back into what they were doing at the beginning of the game?
Well, the biggest thing is turnovers and not doing this, trying to do too much on your own. They need to get back to good ball movement and handling the ball and the pressure and getting back on D. The Serpents love to, and they're really good at fast breaking. Kapoor's arms are like pythons that just reach out and snag the ball. See, it's a 1-on-4. It's a very tough shot, and he's the smallest player on the floor.
So a lot of what I'm catching, what you're saying, makes sense because we talked about the Serps in the beginning that they weren't making their shots, but they were taking consistent shots. Long threes, moving the ball, finding the ball in the wing, attacking fast on the initial break. And what we'll recognize then is they weren't hot at that point, but now they're getting there. Now if you look at the Florida Flight in the very beginning, they're moving the ball, getting the ball in against that 2-3 zone, a couple substitutions, and it's a different game plan with different personnel. They're not consistent in that.
They don't have numbers.
I don't know if my whole season here that I've ever recognized that the Florida Flight's first strength is the fast break. Initially just attacking the rim. I've seen it with the Crocs. I've seen it with the Serps. But again, at the Florida Flight, seems like they're more of a bring it down looking for the secondary, looking more calculated.
It's an adjustment, with the 24-second shot clock because you have to be quick, but you need patience at the same time.
That's a good point. It's funny, in my first couple games broadcasting, there was never any 24-second shot clock violation horn. And then I realized that, these guys are so used to shooting it quickly that it's going to be very rare. And you're probably not going to see it that much today. You might see it once or twice, but it's going to be very rare that you're going to see that shot clock horn or hear it. Sorry, not see it. Going to go in Serp's favor. I tell you what, Suarez took that shot with confidence. That wasn't some outlandish shot. The funny thing is, as soon as he took it, two Florida Flight players already took off like the break was starting.
Right.
And you got to realize you can't go anywhere until you control the ball.
Yes.
And that's why the Serps came up with that rebound again, even though that it went into getting tipped. But it's
Right.
Serps ball now.
I was just teaching a youth player that this week because they learned a video about how to score easy buckets leaking out, so they're leaking out, but the other team's getting 4 or 5 offensive rebounds and then a layup. And you got to make sure you got the ball first.
I can understand that in life lessons as well. It's nice to eat sugar cookies and donuts, but there is such thing called diabetes.
Yeah.
Tillman with the ball. Again, we talked about he's capable. He's a great court vision. Ronnie Burr, I'm going to switch gears for a second. Ronnie Burr, I haven't seen him really going into his typical getting shots off of that in this game. I know that it's not his demeanor to sit there and selfishly just look for shots all the time, but he does light up pretty fast when he's going. So when I say capable, this guy is able to put up 25, 30 points in a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not seen much of him, and I have not said his name until that point.
He's very poised and in control, and I think that's something that they were missing with him on the bench.
Anytime you're around a military background guy that realize communication is key, leadership, all those traits. Right there, he's going up, composed, talking to the referee, checking in, but he's a competitor. And one of the things I've always recognized about him is when he goes into the timeout and he comes out, he's always communicating to his guys in a very soft tone. He's not yelling, he's not whispering, but he's got command.
Yeah.
Oh, comes out in favor. Florida Flight going to get a little baseline play here. Let's see what they draw up.
It's very fortuitous bounce. Make one free throw, miss the free throw, get the ball back. See if they can capitalize. Left hand finish.
Fortuitous. Is that game on Xbox with the orcs and the guys in
Warhammer Fortuitous.
I like that. You just feel it right now that the Serps. I was going to say you can feel there's a 3 coming, but very relaxed.
Well, the Flight are chipping away here. They got it down to 5, and they got their starters back in and make a good plays here. See if they can work it back in. They're down to 3. Once a team goes on a run, you don't want to just give up, and you're not going to get it all back at once. It's going to take time, but you just keep chipping away, play after play. Oh, my goodness. Jackson finally got one down. It was probably his best one.
Went up like the elevator there to go get it. It was like on the other 2, he was trying to dunk a medicine ball and he's keeping it next to his hip.
Wow. Traveling call.
That's the first time I've seen a traveling call today.
Oh, I guess the ball doesn't lie. Going back to the Flight.
Jackson not happy there, thinking the referee got in the way of the passing line. But if you don't know it, the referees are just part of the game. So even when the ball hits the referees, you have to play it right off of them as if they didn't exist. McCallie just short. Ronnie Burr coming down, the commander. Tillman finding it. Corner. Oh. Jackson alley-oop dunk, waits a possession, comes back, gets a corner 3.
I find that whenever I dunk the ball, it helps my three-point shooting percentage.
Me too. I notice that when I dunk the basketball on my closet door rim, the door breaks off. But to your point, though, there's nothing like a dunk to get the the emotions stirred up and get everybody kind of energized about what's happening, especially the person who dunks the ball.
Tyler Rodriguez checking back in. He straight out of the NAIA college program. He was top 5 in three-point shooting percentage in the nation last year. Chucks up a 3 at the buzzer there. Didn't hit the rim. So it'll be a 24-second shot clock violation on the flight.
You know, another thing that people can be swayed in understanding is that, like, oh, we can't find something, or we can't get our offense to work. If the shot clock goes off, it can also be because of great patience. You know, you're waiting. A lot of times in youth basketball, kids, you know, they'll just have something already predetermined in their head as soon as they get the ball to go take a shot instead of actually figuring out what is there. Look at the strength.
Very strong. Good footwork, patience.
Tough shot. Suarez leads to a fast break. 2 Serps trailing the play.
Nice. Oh, very nice. That's his second nice finish. He had a between the legs right there.
Nice play by Bull. Something happening here that I greatly appreciate in team is the Florida flight communicating. Their bench is up and talking to their guys about what's going on. This is a crucial point, and just 5 minutes left in this second quarter before they go into the second half.
The Serpents are unhappy with the call, but it'll be Florida flight ball. They go both ways, and this is part of the game.
Paul, I see Lindsay just checking in. As he checks in, I'm just going to put it out there. I believe that as they get the ball in this next 5 minutes on any type of transition, rebound on their defense, he's going into high gear mode. I'm just going to say it right now. He's going to try to go the length, and he's going to try to draw fouls.
They're going to reverse the call to the Serpents ball. You know, one thing I notice is that the Serpents, as they pick up the fast pace, the flight also respond in kind to also pick up their pace, even though it's not the strength of their game. And so when you're being pressured and the other team's fast breaking, if that's not your style, you have to have extra poise to do what you want to do and not be forced into what the other team wants you to do.
So true. You know, what's funny is so when I played for the Phoenix Suns, Mike D'Antoni was pretty much known as the sole 7 seconds or less offensive basketball. Whenever we would play the Houston Rockets with Yao Ming, they would try to keep up with us, and poor Yao Ming, he would be pretty much stuck in the center court jump circle, never making it on offense and defense fast enough.
Out of bounds. I just watched a little documentary on Paul Westhead when he was coaching the Denver Nuggets in 1991 before they drafted Dikembe, and they... Oh, wow. Nice alley-oop from Lindsay to Jackson. He didn't get to dunk, but he got a nice layup. They had the fastest pace in the NBA by 2 orders of magnitude, averaged 140 points a game. Unfortunately, they gave up 150 points a game. They were a 20-62 record with the fastest pace in history.
That's incredible.
Just fast breaking and shooting threes at a very high pace, but didn't care too much about defense. And that's part of the reason why they drafted Dikembe for defense. But Paul Westhead didn't survive much longer. Six-point game with 3:50 to go. Burr takes it in. And now he's didn't like the call, so he's not hustling back. And we got a 5-on-3. Pull-up jumper is good. Complaining to the referees is not going to help. You just got to go to the next play. A lot of turnovers by the flight here.
Wow, surprised there's no call on that one. I had a feeling there was going to be a timeout there. Usually my threshold is a 10-point deficit that coaches have to maintain. At 10 points, you have to be able to cut it, especially as we're going into this second half here at just under just in about 3 minutes. So we'll be right back here with FBA action. All right, folks, we're back. We're just about to finish up this second quarter, going into halftime. Serpents 44, Florida Flight 34. Coach, you just said it. What is it you're looking for? You know, you are on the coaching staff here with the Flight. What is it you think needs to be spoken in that timeout?
The body language is bad. They're complaining to the referees. If they make a mistake or turnover, they're not getting back. They're hanging their heads, and they're compounding mistakes. So one mistake becomes 3.
So I'm totally with you, but in the understanding with coaching, having the ability to say we're going to work on 1 or 2 things, what do you see as that one thing that you have to change right away? And again, it's just like kids, you have to be able to compliment things too. So give me the one change and one compliment you're giving them. And don't give me they have nice uniforms.
You know, that's a difficulty of mine personally, is giving compliments. But
get your son over here.
I would say the biggest thing is they need to not turn the ball over, because that's initiating the fast break,
okay.
and that's the easiest layups. And hey, I got to give a compliment. Say, hey, you guys are upset. That's good. You care about winning.
I like it. Okay, that'll work. Now, how do we? Let me add to that. Let's say to myself, you guys are emotional. You're getting upset about this, and I love that passion. Now let's turn that into protecting the ball with that emotional state, saying how important it is. Because again, when you're coaching guys like this, a lot of times they can't see the forest through the trees. So they're stuck in this moment instead of realizing there's a whole second half to play.
Right.
You ever have that moment, Coach, where you take your kids on vacation, and when you get there it starts raining and something breaks down, all the kids are saying, "Oh, what do we do?" And at some point you have to be able to pivot. Hey, we're all here. This is great. There is a sprinkler system outside. We're going to run through that for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, you have to find the small victories and be positive. Bring the positive out of the negative situations. Focusing and dwelling on negativity and things that aren't fair, or the things that you're doing wrong, or blaming someone else, it never helps, and it'll just prolong your situation.
A good friend of mine, Niall Barry, he's an international coach in Ireland. He taught me a long time ago. First of all, there's the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And it also reinforces the idea of the sandwich theory, where the sandwich theory is you give a positive, you give a corrective is the meat, and then you go back on the top of the bread and you got to give another positive. And it allows your players to get in, because, in anything with a transformative space where you're trying to change something, it's very easy as coaches or leaders to just keep pointing out so many things, but you got to be able to take one and look for the change in it.
Right. You have a very small window, 30 seconds, a minute, and a timeout, and you got to have one thing to impact your players. Otherwise, they're just not going to listen and shut out.
So true. One of my things that I recognize, and not to be a hypocrite, because I used to do too, but when I go to high school games or AU games, I see a timeout and I see a coach, as the players are coming over, they'll go to one guy and they'll start micromanaging. What are you doing? And you're thinking, you've got 30 seconds to change the course of everyone's mindset, and you're stuck on one box out.
You know what I would do, or I try to do, is if that happens, I'll sub that guy out.
The coach?
No, that one player. Yeah, really. Sub me out. Take me out. Sub that one guy out that I need to correct one thing instead of calling a timeout for the whole team. And sometimes when you call timeout, you have to use them strategically. You only have so few, and you have to really use them wisely to hammer something home.
Love it. I totally agree. We're just under a minute here.
These last 38 seconds, very important for the flight.
A lot of pressure coming in from the flight. Looks like the Serps are 12 seconds on the shot clock. Very calm. Lindsay with the ball. Suarez off. This is where we talked about the Florida Flight aren't traditionally a first shot, fast break team, but Gullett able to use his strength to get that second rebound.
Oh, no. Oh, he smoked it. That's 3 missed layups. 3 missed layups for the Serpents there. And so I think that ended about as well as it could have for the Flight to go from 10 points to 5 points.
I totally agree. At the 5-minute mark, they were down 10. They cut that in half. Great coaching by Mark King. You shared it. He's becoming more self-aware of not just sharing things, but understanding that silence sometimes is a very powerful approach as well. We are at second half. In just a moment, we'll be back. FBA action. Someone else did that. Yeah. Yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah. Yeah, my dad's 6'4", my mom was like 5'7". But I've got 5 siblings, and they're all like my sisters are 5'11", so they're tall. And my brothers are all 6'3", 6'4". So I just got this freakish thing. And then one summer, I grew 7 inches. Between 8th grade and freshman year. So we moved from, like, let's say this town here, 50 miles down the road. I didn't want to meet anybody. I was introverted, playing video games in my basement. My mom signs me up for football. And I go out for the team. I want to show up. I'm 6'5". I was 5'10". So in my mind, I thought I was still 5'10". So I was looking at this. right away, like my biggest thing I'm passionate for is leadership and understanding in space. So when I finished playing after 12 years, playing pro, I got into training and I was more like a first coach than I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've turned into this idealistic person. Because this is going to sound weird. This is a made up game. Putting a ball in the metal cylinder, and it's made up. It's all based on judgment, not facts. And with that, there's no right or wrong way to play it. There's effective ways. It's like saying, hey, that was an ineffective way for a foreign shooter, and there's effective ways. But like, there are things that jump out into space, like someone like big man from Detroit, the big rebounder, Ben Wallace. He's not your prototype big man, but he's 6'8", strong as an ox, and all of a sudden he's guarding Shaquille O'Neal, and he's getting rebounds. So there are these hiccups. They don't say they're always, it's not a right or wrong thing. They can say, hey, he's not going to make it, maybe he's not all-star. So now when we're looking at the little kids, we start telling you, like, hey, brothers, you're doing this. And what you're doing is you're not actually working with them. You're just coming up and you're telling them what you want. And the moment they're saying, I didn't have this, and we don't know what's going on. Like, if I came up to you like, hey, man, I don't like you. I've been upset with you for a while. How you gonna feel? Borderline reaction. But in doing that, coming back, I was like, I went through all these courses, just going, oh my goodness, this is the most interesting stuff of like learning how humans learn and going through a process. Like I talked to Mark about this a million times. It's like when he was first doing FBAU stuff, I was like, I'd love to get involved in that. But the world, how would I say this? People are passionate about basketball and enrolls more than they are passionate about helping people to learn. So that they don't go learn about X's and O's. They don't go learn about X's and O's, but they don't go to learn about how humans learn. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. See, we're human. So it's like this is coming from not being a hypocrite, because I'll be a hypocrite if I don't say it. What you're doing is great. It's like, let's say it's, and I'm not being insulted, let's say it's an 8 out of 10. Well, how do you get to 8.2? You'd have to look at yourself on Google and go, oh. If I say the word, hey, you had a conversation, you go, yeah, I had a conversation. Now, what does the conversation look like compared to what you do and I do, what he does? His conversation, well, I talked to the guys, maybe you should other guys, how many times do you see people coach on Sunday going, I told you 1,000 times to box out? But the error and the irony is if I told you 1,000 times it's not working, why haven't I picked up the trend of 200 times that my way of doing it is not changing? So I say it's your problem. It's your problem when I say it 1,000 times you're not listening. No, it's because I don't understand what the person learns. I don't know my approach to figuring out what's the best way to get them to transfer. And this is going on. And this happens in business, homes, church, sports. It's everywhere. You ever heard the thing, say what you want to say? So like right now, he's saying what he wants to say. It's only what he wants to say. It's a ball. What was the emotional guy? Yeah. But if I ever said that's not middle. When you start screaming. What are the benefits to the team when you do that? Now if he said none, you go, okay, well then how can I help you to help the team? But if he really wanted to contain himself and to do it, he's got to start thinking differently, because if he doesn't start thinking about the team, he's only thinking about himself, and we all do. All right, folks, I'm Pat Burke, and Paul, I never asked your last name.
Whistler.
Whistler.
Yeah.
This is Paul Whistler, assistant coach for the Florida Flight. We're here second half. Florida Flight up against the Volusia Serpents. It was a great first half ending. Paul, what do you think is going on here? What do you think some of the things that were spoken to these teams at halftime?
Well, I think the Serpents got to feel very good about themselves. They've dropped a couple of games to the Flight already, and maybe the Flight were a little overconfident, especially after the start. Whereas I think the Flight are probably a little rattled. a little frustrated. Why aren't we doing better than we should be?
I agree. I've noticed too, and again, this is just my opinion. Doesn't mean that it's based on facts or stats, but it always seems like with the flight, they'll build a lead and then they can't maintain or hold it. And again, I think that goes back to consistency. Coach Mark King puts in a lot of sets. He puts in a lot of agreements to where people need to be. And that's not to say what he's doing is ineffective or effective, because maybe sometimes it has to do with, do you have natural athletes on your team? Or do you have guys that are one-dimensional, like they're very strong in shooting or they're very strong in one thing? And I've noticed other teams in the league do have, a lot of athletes that they kind of do a free form in the way that they play or their style.
A big dunk there by Grant Gullett, showing off his athleticism. And I like the play before by Tillman. Even though he lost the ball, he hustled back, contested the shot, didn't just give up a layup.
This is the starting five that broke out into a great lead in the beginning of the game.
The Serpents made a substitution for their starting five. Number 10, Christian Sori, is in. I don't think he started the game, but he did come out and hit a three already.
Even Kevin Beans is out there as well. That's a good point in recognizing how what they're doing. That could be something that helps them or ails them later on.
Timeout by the Flight.
We'll be back in just a while. All right, folks, we're back. I'm sure there was another tactical conversation going on both ends, but a very quick timeout. What do you think happened there that there was such a quick timeout?
Well, they had a long timeout. They talked about what they wanted to do, and it wasn't happening. They had to refocus, readjust, and number 10, Sori, with his second jump, 5 points in the last 2 minutes to start this half.
We're at that 10-point deficit again. We talked about this earlier, as early on in coaching and as a player, I was told that the 10-point deficit is a big benchmark and understanding where you have to make change. Anybody, like in business, you're understanding your financials every quarter. When things start to go a certain way, you have to be able to pivot and recognize.
When things don't work out, there's another timeout. Florida Flight wants another timeout. Call a timeout, they go 4-0, and then turn the ball over. And that's the problem when the coach wants you to execute something, it doesn't work once or twice, and you try to take it into your own hands. You try to do too much, go beyond your ability. It just makes it worse.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've been in that position many times myself where the error, the individual space. You're not in your driveway shooting against your little brother. You're actually in a space where you've committed to an agreement. You're in a uniform. You're playing for a professional organization. People are coming in, sacrificing. You have to own your space, and it's okay to do it. It's just, what's the next move now? And if it keeps happening, it becomes detrimental to the coaching staff to have to keep calling timeouts and say, hey, we just said this to this guy. Why are you doing this now? So let's see, there's a big change here for Mark King's Florida Flight. And for Grandma that's watching from somewhere outside of Florida, your grandson here is doing great, but he needs to be able to take care of some things.
That would have really blown the lid off if that three went down, I think. Oh, missed opportunity. That's a very deep three by Lindsay. Early in the shot clock.
It's an interesting contrast here with the two lineups. Right now, the Serps are very guard heavy. 5 guys. They're playing a lot of 5 out, almost like a defensive shell drill.
Oh, boy.
Suarez hitting that. And, of course, on the other end, the Florida Flight, they've got some bigs in there. They can handle the ball, but they are not typical guard guys. So it makes them very hard on the defensive ends once you're guarding guys that are in a 5-out situation because that's their strength.
There's a miscommunication on the set.
Gullett just using his strength there. That's one of the very rare times we've seen the ball going into the post here. Now, it does happen a lot with the Florida Flight, but in the FBA, post-ups are very rare, far and few between. But he's made his way to the line, and hopefully he can knock these down and change this momentum again for the Flight.
You know, it's one of their advantages, the Flight, is their strength in their post players, but it's hard to trade. It's hard to catch up when you're down 15, exchanging 2s for 3s.
Yeah. I learned that one time at the YMCA in a rec league where a guy, I kept dunking the ball, and he kept banging 3s. He said, your 2s will never beat our 3s.
Was that before or after your stint with D'Antoni?
That was probably before it. There wasn't too many dunks after I met Mike D'Antoni playing with him.
Oh, good hands. Good defense by Gullett, not going for the fake, staying low. Also good defense there, but not securing the rebound.
Coach, I wish we had the ability, like we talked about it. We're in a minor league, so we don't have the advantage of having stats. But I would like to see with this big lineup who's controlling the boards and at what level are they controlling it.
Ooh.
Great play by Gullett, giving
yeah.
everything he's got.
Extra possession. You know, that was a great possession for the Flight. They passed up a lot of shots that they could have taken to try and find a better one for their teammates. Everyone touched the ball. Went down to the end of the shot clock, got an extra possession. That's the kind of possessions they need. Very tough shot, wow. Fading away, double teamed, hand in his face.
There is a mental jab when one of your best players is diving for a second chance, getting the ball, kicking it back out. You knock down a little shot there for 2, working as hard as you can to make things work, and then you go down, and within 4 or 5 seconds, the other team already puts a jump shot in and barely had a bead of sweat coming off their foot.
Right. There's still plenty of time, so they can't let it bother them.
Nice play, too. Oh.
Late foul call. Good footwork in the post.
Nifty little block there by Suarez. He's going out, talking to the crowd a little bit. Both hands raised up. Shout out to Suarez this past week. I was out at a Magic Cap speaking, and he was one of the coaches out there. So he's doing a lot of work with youth. Not to say that a lot of these other guys aren't as well. I'm sure there's a lot of basketball summer camps going on. A lot of these guys have the opportunity to motivate the next generation, go in and share words of wisdom and to help out. So it's a great time of year to see a lot of these guys doing that for the youngsters.
Well, you know, the Serpents also have a youth academy, so you know, they're trying to follow the model that the Flight have, and hopefully all the teams will join in that process. Traveling call.
I'm going to hit on this just real briefly, and it just goes back to what you're saying is not to get too deep on this, but if if we understand basketball from what we know, then we probably have gotten that from our environment, right? So we're sitting there and we understand the AAU or the high school ball, and we talked about this earlier. The FBA is sharing another way of doing it, and you could call it innovative, or you could call it just another way, but it's the European club model where you have youth teams underneath the professional team, and they're all wearing the same brand, the same name. And the great thing is it allows for so much growth and so much celebration of the sport with a lot of people involved. And a lot of people haven't had that opportunity to see that or experience it. So if you're out there and you're listening, get a chance to, if you can't get by it, call into any of these clubs, talk to Mark King, talk to any of the coaches that are involved in this or these teams, and find out a little bit more.
Another great thing about it is the players at different levels, the pro players down to the third graders. They know each other, they go to each other's games, they cheer for each other, they help each other. The little kids go to the adult games, and the high schoolers go to the little kids games, and it's they get to watch each other grow and advance. Just like I think Luka, he's growing up in his hometown, and those older players, those older guys, they know him. They say, hey, he's going to be one of the great players. Like Goran Dragic was talking about how he's going to be one of the best. And so they get to see these players really grow.
That's so true. When I was playing my last year in Poland, our practice training facility was connected to a school. And just before we got on the floor, 5th and 6th graders would come out. And you could definitely recognize a different culture and environment. Not just because it was basketball, but the way it was between the coaches and the players, and how they were producing opportunities for kids to be a part of something special. And it was like their gym class.
Another missed close shot, easy opportunity.
Earlier in the game, Coach, I had mentioned, my appreciation to coaches who provide confidence. Like, let your players take shots. Let them take a shot 2 feet, 3 feet at the three-point line if they're capable of doing that. And now that we're a little bit further in this game, I'm recognizing something that, the Volusia Serpents are confident. They just keep going through the same thing. So they've been doing this all year. And it's one of those things where either scoring is coming easy because they're hitting shots because they know when their open shots are, or it's because they're just missing the shots but they're still getting the same ones. And I think you might have mentioned this in the second half. With the flight, there's not that opportunity for the fast break, so they're not a fast break team. But where is that early first shot where their confidence, like right now with Kapoor at the ball, are we allowed to take this shot right now knowing that that's who we are? And I think that's the difference in the fuller flight for myself. It's like saying they're working too hard to even get a shot. And it needs to pass by 4 different passes in a set before they even get the shot up.
Right. Yeah, the Serpents, they were missing early, but they never got down, and they just keep chucking them. Yeah, there's an air ball. But, I don't think that's going to deter them from shooting the next one.
Yeah. Coach Mark King passing us here as he's looking to get his team on board with the dry erase board he has and what he has as a focal point, asking how many timeouts he has left, because it's detrimental, like we talked about. There's only so many points where you can stop the game and try to figure this out, even at this end of the season where you think veterans would have figured out our little pet plays and how to make changes quick. Looks like we had a pushing play by the big guy Kapoor underneath, trying to get position for getting ready to get the rebounds if it was a miss.
Every play that goes against them is it gets frustrating, right? They're trying to chip away and make a play and get a stop, and the pressure's mounting as the time ticks away. Good defensive play, late foul call.
Oh, that's going to hurt. That's 2 back-to-back on Kapoor.
It looked like a good play, but I think that they called it the same way earlier down here for the flight when on Suarez was upset. I think it was a similar call. A lot of missed free throws. I'd love to see the free throw count. I feel like the flight have missed probably shooting 50% on their free throws.
How many shots do you think you can get in at the free throw line if you just spend, in a training space, you've got 2 weeks off between games. If you just took 30 minutes a day, I mean, we're talking thousands of free throws.
Right.
The way that this FBA is set up. And a lot of these games come down to the free throw line.
Right. Even layups. You know, a lot of players don't like to practice layups. But if you look at someone like Kyrie, to this day, I guarantee he's practicing layups.
Sure.
You know, a lot of the young kids, they come out to the court, first thing they do is they start shooting free throw line and out to the three-point line right away. They don't take the time to work on their form shooting and their layup package.
One of my coaches, when I was a young man, taught me that the layup is one of the most missed shots because of youth not practicing, or just because they're not experienced in it, or the variable of the crowd and the emotions. So he shared with me, if you follow anybody on your team that's going up for a layup, you follow them, you're going to get rebounds and putbacks.
Right.
And it was an easy way to get those stats up because everyone is under the assumption on a fast break that someone's going to make it. So real quick, I learned you follow everybody.
Right.
Nothing goes in until it comes out of the net.
Right. Another opportunity for the flight with the offensive rebound. And a layup. There we go.
You can see the wear and tear going on there as this game is going in. Gullett normally two-hand jamming those balls, but right there you can tell he's a little winded.
Oh, unforced turnover.
Oh, this is going to go in the flight's favor.
That's definitely something they need.
As they're finding their next win. I don't think they can afford, to play right now with 4 passes or big sets. They've got to get to quick hitters.
Right.
You see that offside, off the ball side there on offense. There's very little movement again. These guys are tired.
Nifty pass by Bob. Wasn't able to finish.
2 guys not getting back. It's not a good idea with teams that are used to just putting the ball up quick.
Two minutes left in the quarter. If the flight can just go on a 5-0 run here to end the quarter, make it a little closer. There's 3 of them for Tyler Rodriguez.
If I'm coaching right now and I'm at that 10-point deficit, got 2 minutes, I'd like to get this within 5 to 8 points before we end this quarter. Very loose on the ball defense right now.
And for the Serpents, I would say, they don't want to sit on this lead. If they slow down their pace, try to hold the ball and relax, protect the lead, they're going to let the flight back in it. There's another 2 for Grant Gullett.
We're sitting at 8 points right now, just under 2 minutes. Serpents coming down, still very confident.
Back in it. We're back in it. Let's go. Right.
Their pace is slowed here. They're using a lot of the clock. Last 3 possessions come now. We're at 5 seconds on the clock. And
nice Bob, nice hands in the lane there.
He has great hands. I've never seen someone get his hand on so many deflections and balls. His hands is really quick.
Do you know what I liked about that is there is that mismatch we talked about with Lindsay. He's able to take the slower defender, get by him, but on the other hand, Bulb is sitting there getting ready to help his teammate because he knows maybe he is a a step slower. So you need that, and that's part of where we're at in this point in the season. You've got to be able to recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and some of those you got to cover up. And that was great team defense by Bulb's part.
Bulb was a previous Defensive Player of the Year winner in the FBA. Missed his first free throw.
He's not just a fashionista with the yellow shoes.
Great rebound by Gullett to give him a second chance.
There you go.
Bulb does it the hard way.
I like this.
It was 13, and now it's 6 with a minute to go. So, easy foul. When you have great hands, you reach a lot, and sometimes you get caught.
You know, a lot of times I see this in basketball, especially on defensive end. You've got to say to yourself, what's the goal? And the goal is to defend the basket. And when you're defending the basket, right then is, you know, you can't have Bulb going in after Suarez picks the ball up and going in and getting that foul. He's got to realize the basket's safe. I can't just keep risking things. Even if he is defensive player, there's a point, too, especially in this game, where you got to keep the momentum going. You can't let them get those shots and the ability for them to breathe.
Well, you know, that possession, they had him stopped. The shot clock was running down. That foul gave them extra time, and then Suarez with a deep three. Good position. There we go.
Kapoor finally getting something there. You can tell he's feeling frustration. He's been leaving the ball a little bit short the last 4 or 5 shots around the basket. Just might have been doing too much shoulder press in the weight room this week.
I think Suarez is in a little bit of foul trouble. They want to protect him here the last 45 seconds of the quarter. You know, Kapoor, he gets great position on the rebounds. I read a statistic that 80% of rebounds go to the opposite side. Yep. So part of rebounding is anticipating while the ball is being released where it's going to go and start moving to that spot.
That's so true. I do that. I work with big men a lot. We talk about when there's a corner three, the position you get in is your defender on the opposite side will try to get under the basket. You got to lock them in on the outside, and you just stand there. And 80% of the balls will come off the other end. And if you've got them positioned right with that vice and locking them in, you don't even have to jump to get the ball.
Illegal screen on Jackson. Flight want to get one bucket here. If they can get a bucket here, they'll be in good position.
Mark King, the mastermind of sets, he's calling in. You better believe it, folks, that he's worked on these scenarios.
This is triangle 2 right here. Kick it to Duncan. Turn around. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
You know, Bulb is not a large player, an athletic player, or even a very skilled player, but he makes plays.
That list kept getting longer. No, you can definitely tell you know what he provides too? He provides a passion to the game. Mm-hmm. And you love to see that in guys. Now again is where is the lid, you know, when it's needed and when it's not. And so he usually gets his team going. And I love to see what he does on the defensive end. And, you know, he's going to give you spurts on the offensive end as well.
You know, he makes both free throws there, which is very huge. A lot of players, everyone wants to be Michael Jordan. You know, working on your skills takes a long time to get better, but anyone can play defense. Anyone can make a contribution by rebounding the ball and playing defense.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that. Not everyone can play defense.
Well, it's a mindset. You know, it's a hustle. Like Bulb is not the fastest, but he's very tenacious. He's very tough. He gets in the right spots. He's anticipating, and that's something a lot of kids can do. You know, a lot of kids want to play. You know, they're on a team. Maybe they're not getting minutes, and they want to shoot threes, and they want to be the point guard and have the ball in their hands. But they don't put in the work to have those skills or to be better than the people in front of them. But they can still play if they play tenacious D and box out and rebound, go after the ball, make hustle plays.
I love what you're sharing, but let me state this, if I can, in a little different way. There are opportunities for everyone out there, and not every opportunity has to deal with the ball. because
Right.
4 other people have to be out on the floor, and then there's 5 people on the defensive end. So the question is when people self-reflect or they're self-aware of what they do, they watch themselves on video. You get a lot of guys chasing the ball. A lot of guys, they just want the ball in their hands, and they look at the stats at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do when you didn't have the ball?
Right.
And a lot of those questions lead to someone's truth. Not my truth, your truth. What did you do when you didn't? Well, they didn't pass it to me. Well, what did you do when you didn't get the ball? And that is a space where most people don't want to look at, and they're not getting those questions. They're just getting a statement to them saying, you can do this and you can do this. But it's a mindset. Like, I can do things, but I have to have someone to say, well, what's getting in the way? And what's getting in the way is a lot of selfishness.
Right.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with Billy Donovan recently. He was talking about there's 10 people on the court and one person has the ball. So 95% of the time when you're playing basketball, you don't have the ball. But everyone trains for the 5% that they have the ball. No one's working on defensive sliding in the gym by themselves. No one's working on rebounding, setting screens. You know, Pistol Pete and Jason Wims, they work hours on passing. Who works on passing even? You know, like there's all these skills. Everything is dribbling through cones and getting up my shots for me, you know, instead of contributing to the team.
You know, the luxury of a lot of lottery draft picks that are good scorers is as they're in the league and they get to their 30s
Yeah.
and they get to their mid-30s towards the twilight of their career, they've had a longevity in their career, but they have to realize that they're no longer the big scorers.
Right.
And in doing so, they get to gradually come out of what else can I work on. Whereas people trying to get in, if you're not naturally the scorer right away, you have to have a different way of approaching it, saying, what keeps me on the floor when I
Right.
don't have the ball? And that, again, goes into those intangibles that everyone's going, you can do this.
Right.
But, again, we talk about, well, what's getting in the way?
Right.
You know, like, if I share with people, you know, like in a report card or getting ready to prepare for a driver's test or passing something, if I sit there and I play 8 hours of video games every day before I start studying, and at the end of the week I take the test and I get all upset, people can always tell me, like, well, what got in the way? Well,
Yeah.
my selfish desire to feed what I wanted to do got in the way.
Right. You know, the flight cut it to 2 here. I think they ended the quarter, the last 2 minutes. Oh, with the answer. The Serpents with the answer, the deep 3.
Beans, I tell you, he's dangerous. He's one of those guys that he can shoot that 3. He's got a nice little mid-range, and he's got good size. So
When we're looking at that shot that Rodri just took, there were 4 Serpents in the paint, not 1 flight. So you would have to qualify that as not a good shot because there's no rebounders in the area. And that's one of the things too that you got to look at when I'm shooting, when I'm working on my offensive skills. When do I shoot? When is my shot? When is a good opportunity?
stay with me on this. These are great questions, but when you say, when is it my shot? When we're at a level like this, you got to say, what is the ethos of the team? What is the mindset the coach has as understanding? Because I can do things I want when I'm playing in the YMCA pickup ball,
Right.
but I might piss a lot of people off because they're going to be like, well, what are you doing? You're not playing with us. But we're talking about a commitment in here. So if we're at a point in the season where we're nearing the playoffs and guys are taking shots with 4 defenders on them, my thing is are they under an ethos or is there nothing at all? Because you can only do and continue to do what you can get away with.
Right.
Because at some point you got to get cut or you got to sit down or this or the other. And that's, I think, kind of what you're sharing there is like, are you allowed to take that shot or when do you recognize it? Well, if you're not recognizing, I'm sure the coach has got to sit there and go, hey, let's get him out of there. We got to sub him out.
Right.
And we need someone like yourself as a medic assistant coach that sits down and goes, hey, what'd you think of that last shot?
Right.
How many more times? Why do you think you're coming out like at this point in the game and recognizing where we're at and what we need to accomplish?
Yes.
You know, I tell you, as much as I love Kapoor's game, he's just having one of those rough days today where he's shooting short. It's like he's got boxing gloves on his hands right now. He's got to get those things off, and that might take one of his teammates coming up to him. Maybe that could be the absence of you over there. I'm not kidding around, because when I talk about a medic, someone needs to have the ability to get someone in a paradigm shift, to switch them over, say, hey, I don't know what you're thinking about, but this is not the guy that we need here.
Yeah. Give them a little taste of the positivity. Tell them what they're doing good. Great take by Tyler Rodriguez going coast to coast there. You know, I think the flight got it to within 2, and we're feeling pretty good, and the Serpents are picking up their offense a little bit here. So it can be very distressing as a team when you work and claw. I mean, they've been down since the first quarter, and as many as 15 points they were down. Get it all the way within 2, and then see the lead kind of slipping away again. I think the Serpents have missed quite a few layups, leaving the door open for the flight. Oh, that was his shot. That would have been a good shot.
Kapoor.
There we go.
Here we go. There's a lot of game left here, folks. We're just hitting the 9-minute mark, and the Florida Flight are just down by 4 points.
This is a mismatch for Kapoor. Jackson can't take advantage. That's a very unselfish play. Very unselfish. You know, Soares had the hot hand the second half, and he passed up an opportunity for himself or his teammate.
I'd like to see Kapoor posting up here. He's got Lindsay on him. Oh, nice find by Gullett. You know, it's the funny thing is, with a play like that, we're talking about communication, awareness for the defense, but the Serps aren't even phased when they just missed an assignment there. It's almost like they had their emphasis only on the offensive end, like, we're going to be okay. We're going to knock down a couple threes.
Well, it's a great backdoor cut by Lindsay. Bulb lost sight of him for just a second and led to a wide open layup. Tyler Rodriguez with his 4th three-pointer. They really needed that one to answer and keep within 6. It was about to slip away. Got the bench involved. Another illegal screen.
That's one of the things I know about Bulb. Even though he's getting a little feisty things, he knows when certain players do things, and coming off that screen, he knew that step out was going to come out, and he hit the deck, and he got the call.
Oh, bad pass. When the Flight trying to come back, they need to take advantage of every misstep by the Serpents here. They can't follow a mistake with a mistake.
Serps are loving this right side of the floor right now. They've been
big mismatch down low here.
That's one of the great things about that mismatch that's on the ball side of it. Up in the perimeter, Lindsay doesn't realize that there's a huge wingspan there on Rodriguez, and he was able to get his hand in there as Lindsay was trying to get it into the mismatch in the post. We got a timeout here, 7:27 on the clock. Serpents 82, Flight 76. We'll be back here in just a minute. All right, folks, we're back. 7:27 in this fourth quarter.
13 seconds on the shot clock.
Nice
my
find.
goodness.
Oh, nice help by Gullett. Oh, he's getting a little limp there. He might be cramping up.
Great save. Oh, my goodness. He just nutmegged them. Lost the ball. Oh, there's no help. 3-on-1. Oh, my goodness. That's tough. Having a layup and throwing that out of bounds. A little bit sloppy play here after the timeout.
I think Gullett might have a cramp going on after that block shot. He started pulling up a little limp.
I'm so nervous every time I see him jump.
Yeah. Looks like he worked it out.
Wow. Wow. Very powerful.
Nice.
What do you do? I think the defense was just hoping he'd make the layup so they didn't have to keep guarding him down there.
Rounds it out to just 30 rebounds this game. Lindsay, deep three.
It was not a good shot. Oh, he didn't get a good catch. Oh, Grant Gullett looks injured. He's requesting a substitution. 6 minutes to go. That's really tough. He's their best player.
Mark King slow to make a decision here. Gullett's out. He's trying to figure out who he's going to pick. Duncans gets the call to replace Gullett. They're going to see about getting that cramp out over there. They're going to need him as he stretch out on the end of this game.
Oh.
Suarez able to draw the foul there.
It's tough when you're playing really good defense and then to resist the temptation to just reach for the ball right there.
Especially with the MVP from last year. You know he's capable scorer, so you got to put that pressure on. Even one twitch of looking at the hoop can actually make you think he's going to shoot the ball. And Suarez has commanded that type of attention with the season he had last year.
You know, it's really tough to foul a jump shooter. That was going to be a tough shot. He's capable of making it, but the percentage isn't as high as free throws. Oh, my.
Oh.
2 times. He just couldn't handle the catch. Bird for 3. Oh.
Cali rebound. Serps are out.
The Flight were able to get back there and prevent the fast break. It's something they haven't been doing well all game, but really need here in the last 5 minutes.
It's a clever little play there. Serps had the ball up top. Suarez coming around the ball side. Kind of takes his defender off, scrapes him off, and finds the ball, gets fouled, goes to the line. Mark King upset at the call right now. Starting to lay into the ref crew over here.
6-point game, still within reach. But it's going to be difficult without Grant Gullett.
Let's see if some people can fill that space. This is that time of year where some of the guys who maybe got less minutes or didn't have that offensive role got to step up and show that they can fill those gaps.
That's a great point. A lot of times you have to defer to your best player down the stretch, and now they got their opportunity here. Well, great finish.
bulb off the
Tough
shoe. Yeah,
play.
there's no doubt. There's no doubt that went off that yellow shoe.
It wasn't a good idea 1-on-3. There was 2 other defenders there. You got no one to help with the rebound or pass to. It's just not a good decision. Great fight for the ball.
It's going to go the other way. Flight ball. So we were talking about this earlier about how, some teams in the FBA really rely on their athletes. And when I'm talking about athletes, I'm talking about guys that, they've got upwards of 35-inch verticals. They've got the size. They're really capable of breaking down an offensive set and just going for it. Some guys like that on the Claremont Crocs. There's guys here like that in this game here. But for most guys, like you're saying, is like, do you recognize when you can do things or when you should do things? Because just to do it because you think you can is different than knowing you can. And I think that's what separated that last play there, where you said that you're going up against 2 or 3 guys, recognizing that, resetting that.
Right.
Again, as it goes back to you talk about guys getting drafted in the NBA. Well, a lot of those guys are like Chris Mullins. He used to say that people underestimated how slow he was.
Right.
That's how calculated he was in its slowness.
Right.
And that means that you're not going up against 3 different players. It just means that sometimes you're resetting.
It's great. Grant Grelichek back in is able to get a 2-point finish. No help defense.
Kevin Beans coming in. Oh.
Hey, we got to box out, fellas. Got to box out.
Ronnie Burr doing a great job there with Lindsay. No, didn't foul him. Lindsay ends up missing the shot, but the way in which Beans comes in and gets that rebound, you say to yourself, are we all just staring at the play taking place, or are we preparing for what's coming next? Because I think everyone here has seen the movie Star Wars, and we know the ending. We see what goes on. So it's just like in defense, and when we see somebody attacking the basket or taking a shot, we know that if we don't box out, we know what the ending is going to be. So how many people are getting ready for that Kevin Bean moment where they're saying, you know what, I've done this over and over. I've got to be able to stop it, especially at this point in the game.
Right.
And that's got to be an emphasis.
Great point.
I hope everyone's seen Star Wars is what I was talking about.
Nobody watches Star Wars anymore. Wow. Very deep 3.
Suarez is giving Rodrigue the eyes there, letting him know, yeah, I did hit that, and you were there.
Oh, mismatch down low. He's getting doubled.
Oh,
It's tough when you don't get a good pass.
Yeah.
You got to reach down.
I love the way the flight moved that around the horn. Just that last pass was just a little bit off. Just under 3 minutes here. Timeout called. Folks, we're going to be back here in just a minute. All right, we're coming back. That was a hot timeout right there. Tell you what I appreciate about teams and sports is most teams don't want to get into the uncomfortable honesty, getting to the conversations, getting down to what's going on. Not on Mark King's team. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of guys getting emotional there. And that's a growth point because now they have something to build on and talk about. Where you see on other teams, a lot of guys will just play toy soldiers and they'll just try to pretend like, oh, we'll just sweep these problems under the rug and to pretend like nothing's happening. So you're seeing right there in this level that, there is a space in the sport of basketball that shows how are we working on solving things and getting over it. And, I'm saying this, you're part of the coaching staff, so what do you think about that?
We have a youth player like that too. You love the fire and the energy, the hustle, but there comes at a price. You have to control the fire, otherwise it gets out of control, can burn you. And trying to train the players to control that, to be effective for the team and the people they're playing with, the unit, and not to damage the people that they play with, that are their friends.
I'm totally with you. There was something I heard earlier. Churchill said this: you build your home, and then your home builds you. And what that really, to me, what's saying is the preventive measure in the very beginning. When you meet people, you have to start with an agreement in the relationship. And once that even gets 1 second of change for something, you have to be able to stop it, nip it in the bud, and communicate it, and get everyone back in line. And maybe something's festering there, and it could be just one player, it could be just one emotions. But again, it's like you're saying, it can take you out, but you do have to get a hold of it quickly. And this is something where you're seeing before we get into the playoffs.
Right.
You'd hate to see this in the last game in the finals of the playoffs. I was thinking we were going to see that probability factor of fast break Jackson, 3 for 3 off the rim, catapult, miss. But
is he above 50% on dunks now for today?
Yeah. You were talking about this earlier, Coach, too, and I'm going to go back to that timeout. And, kind of the ability for a team to get together and kind of harness all their energies and moving in the same direction. It's hard as a leader, like we said, sometimes to find the positives, and being known for being able, because there is an understanding in sports that there is an ideal. Hey, this is team. Everyone in their hands in here. 1, 2, 3, respect. And there's all these things. But the reality of life is there is a lot of other things that are going on too. So a team can grow from this as well, and that could start with 1 or 2 individuals.
A little bit of life here for the Flight. Down by 8 with 1:20 to go.
Forgot there was a game going on here.
It's not over yet.
96-88. Serpents got the lead. 1:15 on the clock. Kevin Beans.
Not a smart shot. 15 seconds on the clock. I don't care. You're wide open. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness.
Great hustle there by Rodrigue. In desperation, trying to throw it ahead, finding open man, but instead just threw it a little bit too long. He's hanging his head down, but he's a pick it up. It's a great play as far as the energy and the opportunity, but just didn't work out in their favor.
Right.
Minute, 1 second on the clock. Flight trailing by 8 points.
It's only 3 3-point shots, but I think Tyler Rodrigue is the only player that made a 3 in this game so far.
Serps gonna try to milk the clock here, taking their time. Feel confident with their lead right now, so they're gonna, for the first time,
shoot it. right there, and he makes it. That's a killer.
For the first time today, we see them using the entire shot clock.
Oh, steal by Grant.
You know, it's funny as we talked about this, and not to be a broken record, but if a team like the Serpents are so used to taking early shots and finding them, they are building their way to get out of a hole too if it comes to the end of a game.
Right.
Whereas Mark King's team here, you know, you saw Ronnie Burke come down there and take an uncharacteristic quick shot, which is not something normally you'd see with the flight. So maybe there's something to be spoken there, and to have the flight and the Serps to realize what they continue to do. Your thoughts on this game?
Well, I feel like there's just a lot of sloppiness and mistakes. The flight also had some internal struggles that they weren't able to overcome. It's a great game by the Serpents. They really made a lot of tough shots, a lot of threes. I think if we looked at the stat sheet, we'd find that they really won the 3-point game.